Hey, hey, hey!
It's Fat Albert.
Oh my God.
Oh dear, that's totally inappropriate.
That's what. Didn't you watch that? That
Well, I know,
cartoon
but
as a
it's Bill
kid?
Cosby and he's been canceled, so
Nobody talks about him anymore, honey. He's not a, he was a good person, but he's not a good person, as it turns out. He was a funny person, but it's not so funny what he did.
Yeah.
So,
but ironically, he's now out of jail and he's planning a tour.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
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 Okay, he's
Yeah.
got to be 100 years old now. How old is Bill Crosby?
He's like Weinstein. He's crippled over and all this and that, and I think he's just asking for it if he goes on tour. That's psychotic to think he's going to go on tour
Mm-hmm.
and get support and get right back on the ball and that he's still popular or not. It's like, no, you're not. You're gonna get eggs thrown at you.
Yeah. I think he's at that age now. He should just find some quiet place, enjoy the rest of his life, and stay out of the way of everybody else.
And eat his chocolate pudding.
Eat his, that's
pudding pop.
His pudding
Pops,
pops.
or whatever it was he was.
He liked Jello pudding. He was a very big spokesperson for a lot of brands, and my goodness. And now that retro's really back, retro advertising is really back in style. And so they can't even go back and utilize that stuff because of the reputation that he's had later in life, which is super unfortunate. So anyways, hey, Bleak 784 and Phil's in the house. So thank you to everybody that's jumping on board to our new time at 7 p.m. And I wonder how the weather is where you are. Candace is in -10 with a -19 wind chill in Ottawa.
And snow. Snow too.
And snow, a bad snowstorm. We had bad snow today. It's 0 here and everything's turned to rain, which if it drops down in temperature, it'll be really icy. The drive home, I was like this all the way home. It was kind of crazy. So yeah, how are you doing tonight, Candace?
Well, not too bad, not too bad. It was a long day, but this is a good nightcap.
A good nightcap. That could be our tagline. A good nightcap.
Good nightcap.
Yeah, there you go. Sandra's in the house. Hey, Sandra. And if you're in the house and you haven't said hi yet, we'd love for you to say hi. Lots of meaty topics tonight, all kind of around around some of the current events going on. And one of the things that I thought was interesting, I read an article today about Pinterest. And I was telling Candace beforehand, Pinterest was in the news because it actually was it was a tough year for a lot of tech companies, but these guys, Pinterest had growth in Q3 last year. Although it slowed year over year, the company's earning report served as a rare bright spot after it beat analyst expectation for both revenue and earnings per share. So
the biggest, what's it say there? The biggest revenue generator was Pin the Tail?
Stop it. Okay. Pinterest is still to this day, is one of my all-time favorite platforms. And for those of you who have you ever gone on Pinterest?
Yes, I know a lot about Pinterest. Okay. I have a theory why Pinterest is doing so well.
Okay, what's your theory?
Well, one of the big things that goes on Pinterest is a lot of recipe sharing and just general home tips. And those are the type of things that people are looking for right now when money is tighter to combat inflation. It's like, okay, how do I make this? How do I make this cheaper? How can I save money? And that is right up Pinterest's alley. So I'm not surprised that they're thriving.
Yeah, they also, I was in a seminar once where the speaker was talking about how long ads, like pins, stay pinned on a pin board. So if you think about it, I love Pinterest and I'm on there at least once a night. I'll flip through and I'm looking at different things. Part of me is looking for, not necessarily to buy clothes, but I look to see how clothes are put together. So if I'm going in my wardrobe going, what can I do with this? And I can search and see how some of that's going on. So say I see something that I really love and I go, oh, totally want to pin that. I pin it to my board called Clothing is Not Optional. And guess what? If that actually what I looked at was an ad, because I've pinned it, that ad stays up longer So if it had been up, it stays up like it on a Facebook ad. You think about it, you're scrolling through. You might scroll past ads, right? But in Pinterest, if I posted an ad for something and Candace liked it and she pinned it, and then because I'm acquainted with Candace and I go, oh, I like that too, and I want to keep that and I want to pin it. And to your point, it could be food items, it could be clothing, it could be anything. It keeps, because when people pin it, it circulates it around longer.
Okay, but let me add an extra layer to it.
Okay.
Suppose the picture you're pinning is your affiliate link.
Exactly.
Yeah, you get your affiliate link, people start sharing it. Somebody who doesn't even know you might click on that link, buy it, and you get a little commission. So
Yeah, no, Pinterest is a fabulous, fabulous platform. And if you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend it. But here's some interesting things about Pinterest. So, guess what the trend forecasts are for 2023?
What do you mean?
This is
In regards
this
to
is
saving money.
according to Pinterest. So this is, what do you think has been trending so far in 2023 that people are pinning on their pin boards?
I'm going to just go anything along the lines of saving money. That's where I'll go into.
Okay, so there's been an uptick in
crafts.
in sci-fi fashion.
Oh, okay.
What that means, I don't know, but I'm going to be looking after the show. Mushroom decor.
What?
And from its corporate perspective, combining machine learning with user curation to continue to fuel Pinterest recommendation. That's what's trending. So
Okay.
interesting. It says Bill Watkins, Pinterest Chief Revenue Officer, said that this year the company will be focused on user growth and engagement, shopping, and ultimately monetization. And so at the CES 2023 in Las Vegas and in follow-up phone conversations, we spoke with him about how tech investments will power these strategic goals. So anyways, it's kind of interesting. But if you are looking for a side hustle, if you can figure out how to get your items, if you're creating things, if you've got something of interest to put on Pinterest, it actually has longevity like none of the other
So
platforms have.
would they do stuff like driving clips or
Oh, for sure.
or
Yeah.
finance tips or something like that?
I think
Anything.
you could probably do anything on it. And you could always get ChatGPT to write you some catchy titles.
Yep. Yep. Our son has already had ChatGPT write some blogs for him, some blog posts, some advertising taglines based on
Yeah.
some old
You know what
advertisement
would
that
be a
he's
morbid
done.
thing for it to do is our obituary.
Oh my good God.
Wow.
I'd love to see what it would say about me when I'm gone.
We'll all have things to say about you when you're gone, Tim. Don't worry.
Sorry, I have no knowledge of that topic.
No, I mean, yesterday, my video that came out on Monday, I wrote my opening and then I just threw it into ChatGPT and I said, hey, could you just rewrite that to make it a little more engaging? And what it spat back to me was brilliant. I'm like, yeah, I like this a lot. So I changed a few things because of that. So
what exactly did you type in and ask it?
Yeah.
I wrote my opening. So
Okay.
it was like a paragraph.
Yep.
I just dropped the paragraph in, and then I said, could you rewrite that paragraph to make it more engaging? And so it took the gist of my paragraph and it changed words and moved things around and it made it more engaging.
Hmm.
And then like tonight, I have a video coming out tomorrow and I was stumped on a title for it because it was a battle between Air Canada and AirSat or Air Transat. So I took my entire script. I dumped the entire script in ChatGPT and I said, suggest 5 titles for this.
Oh, wow.
And it came back with 5 titles and one of them I really liked. So I took it.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Can you let us know next week how that video trends in your rankings of all your other videos, like to see if that AI understood
The
it?
one that I put on Monday, it's easily number 1. Like it's probably done twice as good as all the previous videos.
Okay.
So it did well.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Sandra has a question about what about Shopify? Thoughts on its increase and will it last? So I don't know a lot about Shopify. Our son knows quite a bit about it. Like, Sandra, are you asking for the increase in
I
user
thought they were,
fees?
didn't Shopify just lay a whole whack of people off?
All the high tech companies are laying.
Yeah, there's been a lot of layoffs.
Spotify's in trouble.
I mean, there's a lot of companies in trouble, and they're going to be in trouble right up until probably at least the fall or longer. I mean, some of the damage that's been done from not just the recession, like take Air Canada, well, just because they're fresh in my mind. In the actual bear market, Air Canada was only down about 8%. All of the damage to Air Canada was from the pandemic. And there's a lot of pandemic damage that also has to be overcome, in addition to then us going into a bear market after the fact.
Yeah.
Now, tech is one of those companies that just and completely soared during the pandemic, and in a way, a lot of tech got themselves incredibly overvalued. And they when they fell in the bear market, that's one of the reasons they fell hard, because they were already overvalued. They were already priced higher than they should have been going into it. And then they lost a lot of value. So for them, and this is where some people might be a little bit like annoyed, is when the bull market begins, they're going to be like, well, hey, why isn't Tesla getting up to where it used to be? And it's like, because it was overvalued. It may never get there, at least going into the bull market. It might get there a few years down the road, but
kind of along the lines as crypto.
Kind of the same. Yeah, exactly. The same thing that happened to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I mean, Bitcoin's
overvalued
along okay right now.
Yeah.
Have you run charts on Bitcoin lately?
Not on Bitcoin per se, but
on the crypto market in general?
Well, I haven't, only because I don't have any coin in the game right now.
Right. So it becomes a little bit redundant for you. And we totally get that. And so Sandra, if you want to put in a clarifying question for us on that Shopify, maybe we can come up with an answer on that. But Spooner's got or Gary was saying thoughts on the rate hike today. And then Jason Spooner talked a lot about that there's a whole lot of inflation. And before you tell me what the rate hike is, I'll tell you, I read a report, one of my reports today, and it was regarding my sales. I think it was a weekly look. I should have gone and looked whether it was the week or the period. And we grew in cases by 1.88%. I'm pretty sure it's just the week, 1.88% for the week. But the dollar value growth, if I just looked at the case growth versus dollar value growth, my dollar value growth was up 15.88%. And that is year over year growth. So I looked at the same week last year versus the same week this year. And
is that in your division?
That is for Canada. So
for your division or for street sales?
For my just for my group, I grew my case sales by 1.88% for the week. But from a dollar value, so that what the differential there is the inflation, because it should my cases should match my sales growth. Like I shouldn't be that far off from each other.
No, I mean technically, what you should be doing this year, if you're comparing to a year ago, is take your profits this year, deduct what the inflation is, and then you're comparing apples to apples at that point. But
yeah, so it's kind of crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
But the rate hike today was 25 basis points.
Oh, so just a quarter point.
Just a quarter. And that's what the market had priced in, and that's what everybody was expecting. And Tiff Macklem did say that there's a good chance on March 8th that they're going to just sort of ease off and not do anything.
Yeah.
But it's not guaranteed, because he said it's provisional that we're not going to do anything, based on, of course, CPI and some of the jobs numbers, and see how that all pans out between now and then.
What do us common folk look for to say, okay, it's worked and inflation is capped and we're on a rebound? What the common folk, like not us that are looking at the CPI and all that stuff, what would be indicators for us as the...
Here's going to be your big indicator. If the price of eggs today is the same as the price of eggs next month, that's a good sign.
Well, I can already tell you the Dairy Board, the Canadian Dairy Council are going to be implementing an increase in February. So
Well, yeah, okay. So that probably wouldn't work for that one, but
no, but
um,
eggs aren't necessarily dairy. This would be fluid dairy
okay,
and
that's just for dairy
cheeses.
then, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I mean, that's for an average person is when because a lot of people, I think a lot of people are under the impression, oh, okay, when they get it all fixed, the prices will go back where they were. No, they're never going back where they were.
Just like the gas price.
They're still going to keep on going up. All we're doing is that we're going to be slowing how fast they're going up.
And you know why they're still going to be going up, Candace? It's because there's a lot of things that have been adjusted since this time last year. Like I got a raise, I got a cost of living
Mhm.
raise, and guess what happens when you do that? And my whole company got an adjustment. Now it wasn't same as the inflation, but if all companies are doing that, they're going to pass those costs on.
Of course
That's
they
how
are.
it goes.
That's I mean, that's the way the whole system will work.
Yeah.
So, people right now who've gotten raises, they're gonna be thinking, "Oh my god, look at what I'm making now." But
Sure.
they're really not. They're actually worse off than what they were before,
Yeah.
because of inflation, because of the general rise of costs rate across the board.
More
Yeah.
taxes.
You know, it'll get to that point where, minimum wage people in Ontario who are now happy that they're at $15 an hour, they'll think that that's a horrible wage a few years from now.
Yep. No, for sure. Evening, Mr. Red Taco. Good to see you. We haven't seen you for a bit, but I know you were a regular on Candace's show, so thank you for coming and stopping in. One of the things that switching back to this whole thing about inflation, um, at the end of the day, I think the worst hasn't happened. I think we're behind the worst, but we're still having challenges for sure because um we're seeing people, some of the vendors, they're bouncing back and their price increases are bouncing back higher than I had thought that they were going to because they're trying to recoup from previous years. That's my fear
Mhm. Well, let
that
me
we're going to
let me just
continue
say
to
this.
see this.
If situations were to change and all of a sudden oil goes back up to $100 a barrel, then take a look at some of these inflation numbers. They're going to be very high.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean,
No.
we're not out of the woods yet. I think we're at kind of a little bit of an oasis,
Yeah. So
and
this
I
is
know a lot of people think we're going to get to the point by the fall that they're going to start lowering rates, but I would caution them against doing it too fast just to make sure we do have it under control. Because the last thing you want to do is start cutting the rates when we're not under control. That's kind of what happened in the 70s. In
yeah.
the 70s, they were cutting, they were raising the rates. Then they were like, "Oh, it's all right now. We'll cut the rates a bit." But inflation wasn't under control, and then it sort of created a whole mess. And that's what we want to kind of avoid. We want to get it out of the way. We want to fix it. Take our pain now. It's not great. I know if you're a homeowner or if you've got a mortgage or if you got a lot of debt, this is killing you. But what can you do?
We've got our call with the bank next Wednesday for a renewal of one of our mortgages.
Mm,
It's going up. It's,
yeah,
it's going up just we have to increase it more than what they proposed because they said that's just based on at the date of this letter
mm,
the interest rate, and it's like that letter came out a month ago to us, and we've had what, 2 bumps since then.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think they were both 25. So
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it at this point, I don't know. Anyways, you want to hear something terribly interesting? Well, I don't know if it's terribly interesting, but it's terrible, but kind
okay.
of interesting. So I'm in the car, I'm driving someplace last week, and the mayor of Toronto, John Tory, was on CFRB, and he was talking about how they're going to do a property tax rate hike in the city of Toronto, and that it was, I don't know, it sounded like it wasn't as high as inflation, but it was still really high, and so on and so forth. So the reporter was asking him, he goes, can you give us any kind of indication as to why you need to take Actually, I think the rate hike might have been higher than the rate of inflation. Anyway, so they were questioning him on why you needed to take such a drastic increase. And his response was, well, like the city-run facilities, like the long-term care homes, the shelters, and the daycares, the food costs have gone right up through the roof. And I'm sitting there going, I came home and I said to Tim, because we have a condo in Toronto, and I said to him, I go, the property tax might be in part my fault, but it's not my fault because it's just the landed costs as they're
Wow.
coming through the door.
Part of that's policing. Part of that.
It's all of that stuff, but that was what he had said it was. So I'm
Education.
like going, oh my gosh, my own personal taxes are going up because.
Well, we're getting double whammy because our property tax will increase in the city of Toronto, and our condo fees increased by 6.2%. 6.2% our condo fees went up.
Wow.
Ridiculous. I can hardly. I think we usually have our general meeting and the AGM in May and stuff. I can hardly wait for this one.
Yeah, no, the cost of everything right across the board is going up. There's no way around it.
Right. So, anyways, Gary said he signed his mortgage at 6.49%. So, Gary, I know you're not probably happy about that, but are you happy that you're at least, did you do variable or did you do fixed on that 6.94% or 49%? Hi, Brendan. Hi, Jill.
Now you take somebody who doesn't have as good as credit as what Gary has. That would be a pipe dream to get 6.49%. There's a lot of people out there paying double digits.
Yeah.
So he did a fixed at 12
Fixed
months.
12.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're going to review in 12 months and see where you're at and try. I never thought about doing a shorter
We
term.
can do whatever we want.
Anyways, very, very interesting.
Well, your brother advised to do variable.
Yes, my brother works for the bank, and he suggested variable because he feels that they'll pull back at some point. But I didn't think to do it a short term. So maybe if we could do a short term, that might make a.
Yeah, but I mean, how much more is it going to go up in a year?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we are seeing some early signs that look like inflation's rounded the corner. But once again, as I've sort of said, that whole oil situation could completely torpedo everything.
And the war in Ukraine, like
wow,
that.
That's started to escalate now because
that's more concerning now than ever. I mean, the whole idea of sending all the tanks, that's almost asking for a retaliation of some sort.
Yeah.
So what do we think is going to be the fallout of that?
And he's had, what was it, 6 of his higher ranking officials that have either resigned or been let go. So
for which side? Ukraine?
For Ukraine, yeah. So I mean, that's because they're not toting the same party line. I just read that and it was like, oh, this isn't good.
I don't understand what you're saying. So
he's got 6 high-ranking officials that have either resigned or been dismissed from their posts, and they're all citing the fact that they can't go on and do what they want him to do.
This is people in Zelensky's camp, the Ukrainian camp.
Correct. High-ranking officials,
so that you feel like the Ukrainian people are jumping ship on this war. They're going.
Well, he's got 6 that have jumped so far, or he's either jumped or are resigning, and that's not good. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it's still not good to put over there. I mean, this is all.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing about tanks is that tanks are not really defensive armaments. If you think about it,
not anymore.
No, because before what we were doing is we were giving them missile defense systems. We were giving them ways to defend themselves. But tanks have that potential to be more offensive than anything else. So I think that Russia. There's going to come a point where Russia's going to say enough is enough. If you guys want to fight me. To the west, opposed to Ukraine, because kind of right now Ukraine is kind of fighting a NATO war because NATO's funding them, giving them all of the weaponry. Just NATO's not giving them everything but the personnel from the looks of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I think personally, I wouldn't have sent tanks. I would have been like, look, we're behind you 100% defensively. We'll give you your defensive weapons, but
Not offense.
But the nice thing is these Ukrainians, they aren't going to know how to use these tanks. So they're going to need months of training before they're going to even be able to use them once they get them. So it's not going to be like the tanks are going to roll out and they're going to be ready to go. They need to be trained on them.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe they're already trained in them. Maybe that they've already
Yeah.
had them over doing, what do they call it? Like when they go up to Meaford here, up by Tobermory in the U.S., and the Brits come in and they do all their training at the CFB Meaford up there.
Well, it was one of the news articles I read today said that they were also going to send the personnel there to train them because it would take them months to get them trained to be able to use the tanks.
Interesting.
I think it would just be as easy as point and shoot, but
Yeah. I know we're bouncing topic again, but did you read the comments on how much more Gary's got to pay this year with his mortgage than last year? It says this is how much more he's paying this year with his mortgage.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. That is crazy, Gary. That's absolutely crazy. Because what would you have to make for after-tax dollars to cover that?
Trouble.
That's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of people who are going to have to give up their houses just because they won't be able to pay their mortgages.
And yet, okay, so on that theory, Candace, that people will have to give up their houses, and I think they've put some rules in place that and maybe it's just the province of Ontario, but you can't have anybody from like foreign ownership unless you're moving into it.
Yeah, there's definitely there's new foreign ownership restrictions on houses.
Yeah, they have to be occupied. You cannot keep them empty.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we don't have the foreign owners coming in and buying, just randomly buying, because that's what inflated our market before, was all of these people investing, all foreign countries investing, and then we have people here that live in this country not able to afford to live here. Mm-hmm. So then now what happens? If you've got people walking away, you can't have foreign investors. In theory, you'd think then the price of homes comes down. And if the price of homes come down and people lose that equity, that differential for themselves, like.
And we're going to let another 500 immigrants in. 500,000.
But we need them. We need them.
Yeah, we need the immigrants, especially the highly skilled ones.
How does that work in the wash? If we bring those, allow these people. Sorry, I'm not being disrespectful to the immigrants.
You kind of are. You don't. I think it's something I think it's something that you're not clear on. In order for immigration to come in here, they have got to. We're not talking refugees. These are people that have the money and the wherewithal to get in this country.
Yeah, like a lot of the immigration that we're trying to focus on are people who are going to come in and actually create jobs for Canadians, other immigrants as well. I mean, who cares who gets the jobs? But, it's that from basically from the bottom level, whether it be convenience stores all the way up to high-level professionals, doctors, lawyers,
nurses,
especially. Yeah, we need all of them. And that's one of the reasons that they're going to be looking at fast tracking, especially in the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Because, I used to work with a woman she came from Iran. She was a doctor. She thought she was going to be a doctor when she got here. And then they were basically told her, no, you have to take all this extra training. And she didn't have the money to take the training. So she ended up working in a call center.
Right. Because to get here, it's quite an investment on their part to get here. So if there's subsidies and whatnot that are in place to bring foreign people here that have a level of skill set, which may very well be the case. So I'm not denying what you're saying. I'm just saying that without these folks, we are in doomsday, because working in the healthcare sector, while I'm not in the physical buildings, I am intimately involved in all their problems. And right now, we are not only are we short of beds for the amount of people that are going to need them, we are short of the people to take care of the people that are in these that are either in a hospital, a long-term care facility, or a retirement home. Like it's astoundingly scary. And I was thinking about this the other day. My mom is the top end of the baby boom generation at 77, and Tim is at the bottom end. Well, slightly, he's just underneath the baby boom era. And so the top end, all of those people that are in that ilk are starting to need care. And so they're going to utilize and they're going to use up those resources. And because our medical system is so good on some levels, we are exceptionally good. We have become exceedingly good at extending people's life, but it doesn't mean that they still don't need the care. So if you're physically able to manage to breathe and to eat and to move a little bit, but your brain has completely gone demented, then you need a level of care. And so as long as your body still functions, we extend life and we support life, we do all those things, but we do not have the people on the back end to support that large volume of people called the baby boomers that are going to start moving through the system. So we are in desperate need of those for those 500,000 people that come in.
Oh yeah.
Need the workers.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the reasons I say that that's going to be a big sector to watch investment wise. Because there's going to be a lot of money in it. Just there has to be. There's going to be so many people. And that's part of what's driving our right now. Some of the labor shortages are we've got a lot of baby boomers finally retiring, and we don't have enough people. We have more people retiring than we have new people entering the workforce. That's where immigration can help. Immigration can help start filling some of that holes that the baby boomers are leaving. But here's the thing: if you want to look really long term, look about 30 years in the future, and you probably then want to start pulling your money out of healthcare and things like that, because all of a sudden we're going to be overstaffed in 30 years when all the baby boomers have moved on, and we have more staff than we need, and there's just not enough Gen Xers to take their place.
No, but you know what I think is interesting? All of the new builds that they're building for these for long-term care facilities and retirement homes, I get an opportunity to go and tour them, and how they're designing them. They're designing them in such a way that those can be repurposed on the back end as condos.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So you'll find oftentimes there's common ownership. Either these facilities are owned by development companies, or they're owned by people who also own motels, hotels, that kind of stuff. And starting to see people who also own condo buildings. So it's a really interesting dynamic. If people, most people aren't even aware, but I thought good use case for the future. You build now, design it in such a way that then you can repurpose the buildings down the line.
Yeah, I know that Sienna Senior Living, they're looking at building a whole bunch of new facilities. So
we desperately need them. The government is handing out. They give you. I'm not sure the term for it, but they give permission to certain Schlegel, which is a family-run operation. They run very large retirement or long-term care. I guess it's combo. They have some long-term care, some assisted, and some retirement. And their villages, they're called the villages, the Schlegel villages. They're building one in Oakville, 600 rooms. Like these are mammoth sized, and they're called villages because everything is self-contained in there. So that if you've got people that need memory care and all that sort of stuff, that they can float in and out of there. But it's incredible.
Yeah.
We, Tim and I are struggling a little bit right now with my mom's got dementia. And, there's been a whole pile of life lessons that we've been learning through this whole journey with her. And, some of the shocking things I think that I'm finding is, how we all feel like we're relatively active and social and we've got friends and we talk to people and we do all that sort of stuff. I finding it rather shocking that when she's faced with this, one of two things happens. Either her friends are in some kind of health crisis themselves, so they fall off the bandwagon from being able to do social interaction because they're all immune compromised, or they're having similar something's going on. So that lobs off a chunk of your friend group, or they're super active and super good and they've done really well investing, and so they're spending their winter months in Florida. And it's interesting because she's lonely. And I've heard that at conferences, healthcare conferences, they talk a lot about that the elderly get dreadfully, dreadfully lonely. And I didn't really understand it quite to the same effect that I'm seeing it now. So we tried to talk to my mom about, well, let's get you out to some community involvement. Like they've got the Sir John Colburn Center around the corner from us here. You could do painting, you could do yoga, we could get you involved in a bunch of stuff. Her response was, I'm not hanging around old people. And I'm like, I said, well, at that center, it's 50 plus. You just have to be 50 to participate over there. I said, so I qualify there. Am I an old person? And she looks at me, she goes, oh, no. And I go, well, then why don't we go and see? No, because really people your age don't go to senior center. It'll be old people. And I wanted to go, like you, but I didn't say that because that would not be.
We have to rephrase that question. We have to phrase it in the context of, well, would you socialize with someone that's your age?
We did. Remember we asked her that? She goes, yes. And then I said, well, then this is perfect. No. But so it's the funniest thing. And then I have another friend whose parent just passed. And it was interesting because they had boatloads of money. The parent did. Boatloads of money. But when you get to near the end, your friends are all passed away, so you don't really have any friends to do anything with. You don't need any new clothes. You're really tired because they've got, again, as they age, they get really tired, so they don't really want to go and do anything. And in this particular fella's case, he had real challenges, so he had a feeding tube. So he wasn't even eating food, regular food. So what do you spend your money on at that point? Then the money is just paper that means nothing. So aging thing, and we're all going crazy trying to save for retirement, which is the absolute right thing to do. But then I'm seeing all of this from a whole bunch of different lenses, and it's been an eye-opening couple of months anyways.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think maybe you could sort of voice it to your mom as, some of these people are really lonely and they wouldn't mind somebody like you coming by and just talking to them.
This is true. I could do that. That's a
because it's kind of using her own desires against her.
That's true. So, if for our viewers that are watching, have any of you started having parents with these kinds of things? It'd be really nice to know how you're managing through some of these conversations. And I mean, Candace, your mom, how's she doing since the fire?
She's in a B&B. And she's still performing. So, because my mom's a country music singer. So she still goes to she goes to old age places and sings for them. And she's got a show every month that she does. So.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And what is she doing about the home?
Insurance is going to take care of everything. So right now she's just working with insurance, trying to find receipts for everything she owns.
Ugh.
Yeah, it sounds like a nightmare, but she's going to get. I don't know if they're going to try to rebuild that house or if they're just going to give her a lump sum. I don't know how that's going in that avenue, but I mean, pretty much every single thing in the house was completely coated in black smoke.
Oh.
So, you know,
Oh, Candace, that's a horrible story.
yeah. Well, at least only a cat died. I mean, it could have been worse because I mean, the thing is, it happened very fast, and she was just very lucky that it happened at daytime. Because if it had happened at night, nobody would have gotten out of that house. It just would have. There would have been no way. It would have been, more
Mm.
tragic than it was.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Mm.
Well, do we want to have another topic?
Oh, there's always topics.
I know. Well,
I
there
thought we were
was
going to talk about AI tonight as well.
well, that was the next topic. So I read another article that said this is generative AI has become a legal drama. And it says the past 12 months were a breakout year for generative AI, and there's no sign of a slowdown in the model's use case or in the growing legal questions surrounding the space. Since the public debut of AI image generation models like DALL-E2, Stable Diffusion, and Midjourney, millions of people have used them to create millions of images per day for personal and commercial use across a wide range of industries, film storyboards, product photos, magazine cover designs, and more. And with ChatGPT and GitHub and Copilot, text generation AI, whether the output is human language or computer code, has taken off in recent months as well. But the numbers, the generative AI space as a whole raised 1.3 billion in venture capital funding through November 2022, a 15% spike year over year, according to PitchBook data. Between 2020 and 2021, generative AI VC deal count nearly doubled from 48 to 84, and deal value spiked nearly 400%. So it's saying that by its very nature, using generative AI for commercial purposes attracts wide ranging ethical and legal debates. And since the space is so new, many of the questions it has inspired remain unanswered. Cases that will undoubtedly shape how generative AI can be used in commercial settings in the future will be decided, and those ripple effects will likely advance as fast as the tech they're inspired by. So what do we think of generative AI, and how do we feel about, I don't know, nothing really is coming from original thought if it's just being recycled, because that's what this is. To me, this is recycled thoughts.
It is. I mean, AI is able to pull from everything. But if you think about it, every idea you come up with is a recycled thought one way or another, because every ounce of ideas that come in your head is based on all of the things that you've seen in the world, all of the things you've read, all of the things you've learned. AI is doing the exact same thing. It's taking little bits from here, little bits from there, putting them together in sometimes absolutely brand new ways. So that's actually no different than when you come up with an idea yourself. So but here's the thing though, it's all the ownership. Like if you were to sit down and ask an AI to write you a book, and then you go and start selling the book, do you really have a right for that copyright? Or should the AI get the copyright? I mean, the way it works right now is you would still get that copyright. Unless it gets to a point where, is
But then
AI
if
going to
the
start keeping
AI,
track of everything it's given to everybody and start to demand that it gets some royalties? I mean, who knows?
but AI doesn't need money to live, first of all. There's one argument. And the second argument, if it generated the idea and it did that, then it would probably keep it in its memory, even if you used it and passed it on, and it could use it for some of the and to extract some of the ideology potentially.
hmm I mean, I look at it this way. I mean, yeah, AI doesn't have a big stake. I don't think AI would really honestly care whether it gets used or not. I mean, if you had an AI that's plugged into everything, it would then know that you used it, what the information it gave you, and maybe it might be proud of you for that if it were capable of feeling that emotion. And mark my words, you give us enough time and AI will have emotions. It's just a matter of time. Because we've let this big genie out of the bottle, and there's no putting it back in. I mean, take Microsoft, for example. Microsoft is feeding billions of dollars into OpenAI because they want something like ChatGPT, they want that in Office, they want that in Outlook, they want that in all of their products. And this is now forcing a lot of other companies to start gearing in that direction. So Google, for example, now they just did some layoffs, but part of that layoffs, they also did a reorganization because they're like, we need a lot more resources pumped into AI because, we've got this Chat GPT, which could be a threat to Google. So it's out of the bottle. It's going to happen, and it's going to grow really, really fast.
Yeah,
I, for one, I'm excited about it.
me
You
too.
know?
It's
I'm
scary.
absolutely okay with it. I mean, I look at it this way. I can go to ChatGPT and I can take a giant article. So I could just copy and paste a full Wikipedia page. I can drop it into GPT and say, can you please summarize this article in 2 paragraphs? And it will. Bang, boom. Saves me from sorting through an entire so it probably would have taken me an hour to do it.
Yeah.
And ChatGPT can do it in 2 minutes. So think of the time saving that's there.
So it's so true. Like Tim bought me a nice, we went and I got a new iPad.
Mhm.
The functionality from my old iPad to this new iPad is astounding. And how I work, I was lucky enough to get to facilitate a meeting with the senior procurement team for Starbucks in our company. We just re-signed a deal with them. And so I was the facilitator. So I'm taking the notes. I was keeping everybody on track, and which is way out of my realm of what I normally do because I'm usually the one talking and somebody else is taking notes. So I had to really pay attention. But I used my new iPad and it had the pencil, the Apple Pencil. I was able to we had whiteboard sessions. So we had white paper all over the wall. We had sticky notes because it was a brainstorming session. So as the sessions, in the intermittent, I went and I was able to take pictures of all the things. And then I added it in, and then I could write on top of the picture with my pencil. Like it was astounding what that hardware could do. Now, if I was able to dump all of what we did and had Chat GPT organize it and make it a flow chart from the stuff we were writing down there. Can you imagine? Because even when we were leaving the meeting on the second day, the Starbucks team said, "So when can we expect the notes?" And I said, "Oh, I've already sent them off to Jed. They're done. There they are." And they were mind blowing. And I was writing, but it was copying it all out into text.
Mhm.
It's crazy.
Yeah. No, it's I mean, you add OCR to it, and there's no limit to what this can do.
Yeah.
I know I did read a story that somebody actually had ChatGPT design an AI for them. So we've already got to the point that an AI can create an AI.
Interesting.
this is gonna. So why do you think it's scary?
No, I think the other aspects of it is I was reading an article today about the AI facial recognition that's in China, and how that is sort of causing concern over there, and how easily it could be brought over here.
Well, it's
And
going to happen. Like, I mean,
it is.
let's look into the future. So 10 years in the future, Nancy decides to go walking down the street. So a billboard will see Nancy coming because it will use AI to recognize her face. It will then, through its AI, come up with all the algorithms of the things that Nancy likes and display those ads for her.
Well, you're going to have that. You're going to have smart traffic lights. You're going to have artificial intelligence and traffic lights.
Yeah, and you'll have your car will be doing the driving too.
And
So
it's going to become the Jetsons.
But here's the thing. We'll get to a point in the future where you won't even need to leave your house, really.
Wow.
Remember, I showed those videos way back when of the future of everything and how work and it'll feel. Yeah, Cable Labs videos. Like it was amazing. That's one thing about this community. We've always been we're very good at talking future state.
Yeah. I mean, I leave the house now maybe maybe twice a month, because I don't need to. I got my studio in the basement. All the groceries are delivered. Everything that we need is pretty much delivered.
Do
The
you
thing-
not do you not miss I know we joke about that even though this is sort of work for you because it's it contributes to your side hustle or not so side hustle, I'm not sure at this point, but in that this is your social time, but do you not miss being out and about in the world?
Not really, but but keep in mind, I'm not a person who needs a lot of social interaction. You know, I I need a little bit, but not a lot.
Right.
So I get everything I need, from my studio. And plus, I mean, I got interaction with the cats and Jill every day. So
Well, that's true.
yeah,
That's true. Are you friendly with your neighbors on either side of you?
I don't know my neighbors. No,
Oh, interesting. Do you
no.
know what this reminds me of, though, Candace, a little bit? At least you got Jill.
Hmm.
Because if you are completely by yourself, this reminds me of that Sandra Bullock movie. I think it was called The Net, where she was worked at home, stayed at home, everything was at home, but she was on the net. And then somebody stole her identity and she was completely nobody knew who she was. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is you're that Sandra Bullock character."
Yeah, yeah. No, it's just it's just one of those things. It's like
That's good. If you I mean, it's good for you
it
until
makes
that's
it
your
makes winter
lifestyle.
easier, right? If you don't go out a lot.
It's true. You don't need to have all that other winter gear.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, I mean, I feel like I do a lot of I mean, because I pretty much live on YouTube, so
Yeah,
I have a lot of interaction. I have people messaging me like pretty much constantly, and
that's good. This is
that's not a
not
bad thing.
no, it's not a bad thing. And some people they're okay. And some people I ever since I've been back to the office, I don't want to be here now to work. Isn't that and I was so adamant that I liked when I was given the opportunity to work exclusively from home, I was
Mhm.
okay about that. And now that I've been back to the office, I'm like, no, I very much like being there. I
Yeah.
see
Well,
people,
I mean,
different people, and
it's not for everybody. My mom could not do what I do. My mom would go crazy because
right,
she's super, super extroverted, social. So
right,
she has to be around people.
yeah,
She's that type of person that if she's alone for too long, she starts to get kind of shaky because she needs people.
yeah, yeah. No, it's
Where
it's so true. It's so true.
well, I
So
mean, when I was living at her house, I cannot tell you how many times she said, "Why don't you just leave the laundry room for a bit?" And I'm like,
Uh,
"Mom, I'm busy.
uh,
why were you in the laundry room
that's
for
where our
so long?
studio
I had
was.
set up my office in the laundry room."
Oh, you'd set up your
Mhm.
oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, my
I
office
thought
is
maybe
in the
you were
lawn.
just very obsessed with doing laundry.
Oh, my mom would be crazy. I remember one morning she poked her head in and I because I was working on the computer and she was like, "Are you in a cult?" I'm like, "What? What kind of question is that?"
No, but she might not understand the world of YouTube quite the way we
Well,
do.
it's not even so much that. And I tried to explain to her as well. I said, "You know how you got your computer, you do your stuff there, and sometimes then you'll go over and you do some stuff on the TV. Well, I have all of that coming through my computer, so I don't have to go separate places. I can get it all right here in one spot."
Yeah, no,
So, but
it's
no,
so
Jill's right. Once we have the car, I'll get out. I'll probably get out. I'll definitely get out more because driving's kind of fun.
yeah. Well, and Gary's saying it's for him, it's terrible working alone and living alone. He's thankful to have his kids. And anyways, I'm just glad to be out and about. We've got the return to office mandate happening now, and it's been a very interesting process. I'm not sure how many people that are watching this, whether you've been mandated back to the working back. They want to do a hybrid, so they're going to still allow people to do some remote working, but they really, really, really want to get people back to the office. And there's been some crazy things go on. So I don't have little kids, as you all know, our kids are adults. So I don't have this challenge, but I several of the people that work for me were telling me that in November, December, daycares in their neighborhood were sending little notes home with the parents saying, okay, well, we've got some open spots. So if you have a friend or you know anybody, we'd love for you to pass our name to them and all this sort of stuff. Now, because our company's not the only one that's mandating this return to office policy. They went from people passing flyers around trying to get some more kids to come to daycare to now there's a 2-year waiting list at many of the daycares. So it's been a crazy couple of days just trying to get everybody's head wrapped around this return to office stuff. And I'm not sure if anybody else has heard any of the crazies around this, but it was funny because there's a lot of pushback, obviously. And our company is still somewhat hiring. And we're, it's kind of a good place to be. Look at all the layoffs going on in the tech world. Like we're having, this is good for us. Right. And so I don't know. We're in a mucky place.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the thing. All these people being laid off in tech, they can go work in, wherever they want to, really. Just not in tech.
Or they'll start if they're developers, they'll get to go and develop new projects. I bet you we're going to see a whole boatload of crypto projects jump up out of this after
Well,
this.
you might, or you'll see a lot of them perhaps start their own business and, could revolve around a crypto project, or who knows? It'll be interesting. But yeah, one of the interesting things about daycares, that was actually one of my first jobs. Was in a daycare. That was
really,
yeah. When I was in high school, I got a job at a local daycare. So as soon as school finished, I went to the daycare. I had to unload a dishwasher, and then I played with the kids till their parents came. That was my job.
And did you like it?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, because I like playing with kids, and
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was pretty rewarding. It didn't even feel like a job really, because it was kind of fun. So
yeah.
And I got
Did you
paid
still
for it.
felt like a big kid? Did you still feel
yeah.
like a big kid?
Oh yeah, sometimes. I mean, I've got my Lego, so
That's awesome. Well,
yeah, every color has its own box. So
Oh, really? Seriously?
yeah.
And do you follow patterns? Do you have the instructions to go?
Well, I have instructions for the Star Wars ships that are put together, but they're on a wall. So, but I mean, when I freestyle it, I don't have instructions. It's just that when I take it all apart, I have to then separate it back into the right color box. Because there's nothing worse than if you need a piece of white Lego of a certain size, and you got to go digging through all this other colors.
It's fun, man. No, it's half the fun.
The hide and seek.
Yeah, I had huge boxes of Lego.
Well, my Lego is just more efficient than your Lego.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably like everything Candace does, a little bit more
But
efficient
in the
than
end,
us.
we're both building blocks.
Oh man. Okay, question for you, Candace.
Okay.
I think I read something somewhere about that scientist in both, I think it was in 2 locations. One was I want to say Asia, and one was North American, heard radio signals from 8 billion light years ahead or something like that. Did you hear this?
I think what you're talking about is one of those fast radio bursts, or I know that they've heard them, and they don't think it's like an alien or anything like that.
What do they think it is?
They think it may be a couple of, this is the one I'm thinking of, it may be 2 black holes merging, creating the noise.
Oh, so it wasn't a long lost Beach Boys CD that they're hearing when they're radio?
No, because those are moving away from the Earth.
So black holes colliding?
Yeah. Well, basically becoming one, merging.
Oh.
I mean, it creates a lot of emissions. So I think that's the one that you're talking about. I'd have to see the exact article to know if that's the one, but I know that's one of those things that caused some interesting signals that they received.
I was
Interesting.
convinced you were going to tell me that they were hearing and there's communications with aliens. This
No,
was not as exciting as I thought it was
no,
going to
there's still no proof of aliens. I mean, I firmly believe in aliens. I mean, the universe is so big, and every time we learn more and more things about planets, it really seems like for there not to be aliens, it would be almost unusual.
I could just picture the aliens coming onto Earth and saying, "Wait a minute,
Well, I
no,
don't think we
no,
would. I
you're
think
not allowed
before
to
an
call us
alien would even show up here, you'd probably get a
no,
robot
no, but they
first.
catch wind of all of these politically correct
Mm.
names, and they say, "You can't call us aliens anymore. You have to call us extraterrestrials."
extraterrestrials. Tim and I went to a trivia night last week, and
Uh-oh.
we ended up being at the winning table, and
Oh,
we were tied.
It's
We
different than
were
giving the winning answer, isn't it?
we were tied
For the
and
last round.
until the last round, and so we think this might have been one of the winning questions, and it was actually one that I got. And so I am going to ask the question and see if anybody in the chat and or Candace can get the question.
Show me your hands.
did you get the answer?
Yeah. So here it is. The question is, which company runs a special promotion on the last day of the following months? January, March, July, August, October, and December.
Well, those months all end with 31.
Correct?
So there's a company that holds a promotion on the 31st.
Yep.
Is it a company called 31, maybe?
You're so close. You went
No,
exactly.
you just need to be quiet and let people figure this out.
Anybody watching? Can anybody else Yes! Gary got it! Ken got it.
What,
Baskin
BR?
Robbins.
Oh, Baskin Robbins. Oh, they have 31 flavors. There we go. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that was one of the winning questions.
I would not have gotten Baskin Robbins. I'll admit. I got to the 31 pretty easy, but
Yep, you did. And that's because you'd probably be good at those escape rooms because your mind has to go to that immediately. Well, what do these things all have in common? So, anyways.
Yeah, I've never been in an escape room, but because usually you lock me in a room and I'm happy.
I know.
I'm not trying to escape, so
it's all the puzzles. It's all the puzzles that you have to do there. And if you're like in your mind can think like in puzzles and answers, I think.
Well, when I was a kid, my grandparents, what they used to do is they'd give me a puzzle to do and they'd time me. And then after I did the puzzle, they would take it and break it all apart and give it to me again and time me again, and just to make sure my time kept getting better.
Wow. And did it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Candace, that's a very good story. So tell us what you got on this week. What's coming up for you?
I'm going to wear clothes this week. No, okay.
Wearing clothes is a good thing.
I just had to make Tim groan once. Let's see. Tomorrow I have a battle. We got Air Canada versus Transat. So Air Transat. So both of them got hit pretty hard by the pandemic. We're going to see which one can soar. Saturday, we got the video you asked for, the CPP one. So that's coming out on Saturday. We got our normal, we got the normal live stream on Sunday. And then next week we have a special 3-part battle. It's a cage match, all 6 Canadian Big 6 banks.
Oh.
That's
so each
good
part will be 1 round.
Wow.
So, and then I'll probably about a month afterwards, I'll probably make one video with all of them in it. It'll be like this big 25-minute video or something, but
I love it.
Yeah, so that'll be next week. And Jill's working is going to work on her next part of her series. I'm not sure when that's coming out. We don't have an exact schedule because I just, where she's new, I'm like, just make them. No pressure. When they're ready, they're ready.
That was a good
Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
Was a good video. Jill, you did a good job. We enjoyed it a lot. Good job. So
And there, she said in the chat that it should be next week.
oh, yeah, it is.
There we go.
The next video should be next week. Well, that's awesome. Ken wasn't on tonight, but I'm sure he's got a live stream coming on next Friday. I think that's
Probably.
regular live stream nights.
Next Friday or this Friday?
This Friday. I don't know. I feel like I'm
Probably both. This and next.
this next, the following, which is good. And this has been great. We really appreciated you coming on again, Candace. And we talk about this all the time. Like this is our social night too. We love getting caught up with everybody. We love having the visitors. It was good seeing Jason Spooner popping in tonight, and Gary. It's been a while. We haven't seen you, and Mr. Red Taco. Like so many people.
We should all drink tea and we'll just call it Tea with the Danters.
Oh, I love it. And Sophie, and there was Create, Save, and Invest popped in. We're just scrolling. Brandon, like it was a good night. A lot of people that
So
Oh,
Well,
Sandra
I
and
did
Sophie.
tell Scott, Create, Save, and Invest, just to reach out to Tim because he'd make a good guest. He has a live stream of his own, so he'd be fun to have on one week.
okay.
Would love that. I would love that. If anybody would like to come on and chat with us, Tim's contact information is in our link, so feel free.
It's not on this link.
It's not on this link, but if you go into some of our past videos, you can definitely reach
Or
out
you're on
to
the
us,
Facebook page.
or you're on the Facebook page.
Mhm.
Either way, we would love to have guests if you want to pop in and have a chit chat. The free for all. We just love talking like this because it helps to keep our thoughts in the game, especially those of us that are still into crypto.
And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe, folks. If you haven't done that yet, we're trying to get the Danters to 1,000.
Oh my gosh, this will be the thing for 5 years from now. Well, we're still trying to get the Danters to 1,000. They made it.
690.
They got 967 finally. No, we're just happy. Honestly, we are happy to do this seriously because we love spending time with you, Candace, and the community. Our nickel and dime crew. It's amazing. Ooh.
What?
We forgot to tell everybody about your new little purchase.
I didn't get a purchase.
Oh, is this the one you hinted at last week? Tim
think
hinted that
you
he had a side hustle that he'd tell us about later.
Oh, did I not tell you last week?
No, you didn't tell us. You just said that I'll tell you later if it works out.
Well, we're out of time tonight.
We'll have to tell you next week. We did the most amazing thing last weekend, and it's a potential. Tim did it, and then I helped on the back end. I helped. Are you saying I didn't?
Were you talking about the back end again?
Is Tim making plunger crafts?
No crafts. This is a legitimate thing, and it will be so worth you turning in next week because we'll talk about it. And a good potential side hustle that is an easy to execute one, and we are super excited about talking about it. And that's what we were founded on, the Nickel and Dime Crew Side Hustling. So hope you have a good, fun week and stay safe out there, everybody. Keep warm. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.